Hi, this is lesson 3-1, where students will be adding and subtracting decimals. You're going to open up your math book to page 178 and follow along with me as we review some pretty basic addition and subtraction skills. Page 178, it says to add decimals, we need to make sure that we line up the decimal points. That's the key to doing this lesson with addition and subtraction. If we line up the decimal points, we just do some basic multi-digit addition and then eventually subtract. So here we have some examples on page 178, and you'll see that the original problem says find the sum, there's our key addition word, of 23 1/10 plus 5 8/10. So they recommend to us to just estimate logically about 23 plus 6, it's going to be around 29. So we make sure when we write this vertically, we line up the decimal point and we bring that decimal all the way down into our answer. And we do basic addition. 8 plus 1 is 9. 5 plus 3 is 8. 2 plus nothing is 2. So we have 2, 8, 9, and the decimal point lines right back up, 28 9/10, which is pretty close to 29, so we know that we're on track. We have an example. I'd like you to pick up your pencil and do this one with me. Okay, so first of all, we're estimating. Let's say 29.6 is around 30. 14.7 is about 15. So the total there, sum, would be about 45. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking for our answer. So we're going to line up the decimal places. 29.6, 14.7. Then we add just as if those decimal points aren't even there. As long as we're sure that we bring those down, they line up all the way into our answer. Then we just have to do some addition. 6 plus 7 is 13. We regroup the 1 into the 1's place. 9, 10 plus 4 is 14. Again, we have a 1 to regroup into the 10's place. 2, 3, 4. We have 44.3 or 44 3/10, and that's pretty close to 45, so our answer is reasonable. It is 44 3/10. Why don't you try this? I'm going to get you started with letter A. Our first step is to rewrite the problem vertically and make sure that we line up the decimal points. So it's 54.7 plus 21.4. I'm making sure my decimals line up, and I'm going to go ahead right away and put my decimal into my answer. Now I want you to pause the video. Go ahead and solve this problem as well as questions B and C in the Got It's. And once you have it solved, then restart the video and check to see that you are on track. Answer to the first question is 76.1. Letter B, you should have gotten 37.7. Letter C, you should have gotten 50 8/10, 50.8. All right. Moving on to subtraction. If you flip your book to page 179, again, to subtract decimals, we have to make sure we line up the decimal points, and then we just subtract as usual. They do point out to us we might need to annex some zeros. That's our math book's way of saying we might need to add some extra zeros to the end of the number. If there's nothing to subtract from, we might have to add some zeros after the decimal point. So let's first example. First, we're going to estimate. They have 5 774 thousandths, and then 2 371 thousandths, and we're doing some subtraction. So estimating, it's about 6 minus 2. We're going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 4. We line up the decimals here. That's key, important that we're lining up the decimals. Subtract. 4 minus 1 is 3. 7 minus 7 is 0. 7 minus 3 is 4. 5 minus 2 is 3. We get 3 and 403 thousandths, which isn't too far off from 4, so we know we're on track. Let's try one that's a little. In this example, we have 6 minus 4 and 78 hundredths, which is about 5. So 6 minus 5, our answer is going to be close to 1. But in this case, if we just write the problem, we have 6 minus 4 and 78 hundredths. There's nothing here. We had to annex these zeros or add some zeros. So there were numbers to match the same place values that we have in the second number, the number that is being subtracted. When we have these zeros, we have to do some regrouping. And I know that for some of you, subtraction with regrouping might be a little bit more challenging, that you have to, maybe your teacher said, borrow from the ones place and make that a 5. Then we can make this second zero a 10. We take that 1 and put it in front of there. But we have to borrow from that 10 as well. Make that a 9. So we can put a 1 in front of here and make that one a 10. So we have 10 minus 8 is 2. 9 minus 7 is 2. And 5 minus 4 is 1. We get 1 and 22 hundredths, which is close to 1. So our answer is reasonable. Got to point out, though, in subtraction, when we have regrouping like this, there are lots of places for us to make some fairly easy mistakes. So you have to be pretty careful with that. Let's do this one together. This one will be a better demonstration for us. So pick up your pencil, fill it in with me as we go. So I'm going to do 23 minus 4 and 216 thousandths. Now, since there are no numbers here, I need to fill in some numbers, and I can put as many zeros after the decimal place as I need, so I'm going to fill in zeros to this spot. But knowing that when I fill in those zeros, there's going to have to be some borrowing or some regrouping, because I can't do 0 minus 6. You can't take 6 away from nothing. So I have to borrow from the place in front of it, which is another 0. So I need to borrow from the place in front of that, which is another 0. So I'm going to go all the way to the ones place, and I'm going to borrow 1 from there, make this a 2. That makes this a 10. I can change that to a 9 and make this a 10. And I can change that to a 9 and make this a 10. Now I've done all of my regrouping, then I can do my subtraction and say 10 minus 6 is 4, 9 minus 1 is 8, 9 minus 2 is 7, 2 minus 4, I can't do 2 minus 4. I got to regroup again. Take 1 from here, make it a 1. I can make this a 12. 12 minus 4 is 8, and then 1 minus nothing is 1. I get an answer of 18 and 784 thousandths. Okay, this is maybe some things you have to refresh your brain about, some with the regrouping or borrowing from the next higher place value. But as far as the decimals are concerned, as long as you remember to line them up, you're just doing some basic subtraction. So we'll get letter D in the Got It's, bottom page 179. We'll get that one started for you. 9 and 543 thousandths minus 3 and, making sure my decimal points line up, 671 thousandths. And I'm going to go ahead and bring my decimal down right away, because we want to make sure that they always line up with each other, those decimal places. Then we can just do some basic subtraction. Why don't you go ahead and solve this one? Try letter E and letter F. Pause the video and then start it up again to check to see if you're on track. So letter D works out to be 5 and 872 thousandths. Letter E is $10.81, and letter F is 4 and 91 hundredths. All right. One more example for you on page 180. Same process, only now they have a story for us. Reagan is creating a video. The first video clip was 22 and 36 hundredths of a minute long. The second video clip was 17 and 300ths minutes long. What is the total length of the video. Total tells us we're going to add them up and put them together. So we take those numbers, 22 and 36 hundredths, 17 and 3 hundredths, we rewrite them vertically, making sure we line up the decimals, and we get 39 and 39 hundredths minutes long. Give that a try with the Got It on the bottom of page 180. Do the same thing, read it carefully, make sure you line up the decimals, pause the video, and then check to see if you're correct. Alright, notice here that I had to do quite a few things to make this work. I had to annex a 0. I made sure my decimals were lined up, and then I had to do a whole bunch of regrouping or borrowing from the other place values, but you should have gotten an answer of 380 and 78 hundredths miles. Alright, I think you're good to go. Good luck!